Oh, let's talk about Ugarte. Now, I think Ugarte's been having a pretty good time of it of late. Look at some of the recent player ratings videos that I've done. I've been so impressed with different aspects of his game. Certainly better on the ball than people thought after his little cameo debut, where everyone decides to start questioning why he's not creating chances like De Bruyne, idiot journalist. But actually, he's been damn good on the ball, and obviously he's a pressing monster, he's a duel winning monster. But I thought we'd do a little video on him today because I've been appreciating him, and I don't like doing the negative stuff. I'm a positive guy. I like football because it entertains me, and good players entertain me. And I think Ugarte is a good player. Against Liverpool, he was absolutely immense, deserves the flowers that he's getting for that performance alone. But I also think he's quietly become a player that is the heartbeat of Ruben Amorim's side, and it was one that we kind of anticipated would probably happen because of their prior relationship. But let's get into what's been so good about him. First up then, he is adapting. One thing that is impossible to argue is that he is adapting to life in a Manchester United shirt, and I think that adjustment period is over. We are now getting the very best out of him, and I think there's probably a little bit more to come, but we're starting to see all of his quality every single week that he plays. Like, he was such a big miss against Newcastle. And I said, I think it might have been in the review after Newcastle, like, I was actually pretty confident going into this game with Ugarte. Without Ugarte, I was like, oh, that midfield's just far too energetic for us. And then the gaffer played Casemiro and Eriksen almost to prove how lacking that midfield was. But he must have a new role or something, because the night and day difference from those sort of early couple of games, he almost looks like a different player. I thought there was good aspects to his performance, and the good aspects were really downplayed as people kind of tried to pigeonhole him into a certain player. But he's taken on like an extra level of responsibility since Amorim's came in. It's almost like he's gone, I understand this system, and I'm going to make those around me understand it a little bit better as well. And it's clear to see that the physical levels of him have improved as well, which, that can just be a match sharpness and match minutes kind of thing. But there's something else going on here. He's carrying himself with a confidence, and you can't manufacture or pick that up in training. There is an air of, I can't be beat, and I can beat anybody, and I can win the ball off anybody. You've got, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a clip going around of just all of his moments against Liverpool, and it's a player at the top of his game. Number 2, tenacious. We knew he was getting tenaciousness with him, and it's hard not to love the tenacity that comes with him. Every game he is throwing himself into challenges, and it will result in yellow cards undoubtedly, but he's not afraid to put himself where it's going to matter, and he has like this whatever it takes kind of mentality and determination that will make him a fan favourite at Manchester United. He averages 4.44 tackles per game, which puts him in the 99th percentile of all midfielders. He's also in the 96th percentile for interceptions, making 1.85 per 90. He is a player that knows his qualities, he knows his character, and it's made him a better player for it. He has this seemingly quite calm persona off the pitch, but on it, bulldog. And he's genuinely sensational without the ball. Number 3, this one we suspected, and I think I mentioned it early in his tenure, that he's probably going to be the first name on a team sheet away from home in a big game. And oh my God, is he showing that. He is a player that shows up in the big games. He's also probably the kind of player, a little bit, this is going to sound like a diss, but it's not meant to be. A little bit like sometimes Fred and McTominay in a big game. Those honest players, you're going to get a performance out of them. But unlike Fred and McTominay, the level of quality that he possesses on the ball, those guys you could rely on to run about, put themselves around and win the ball back for you. And in McTominay's case, maybe even score a goal for you. But with Ugarte, you also know that you can trust him. He took the ball the most against Liverpool at Anfield. He was United's most involved player in terms of passing. Like, you can trust him to get the ball. He had a very high pass completion percent. It was in the 90s, I think it was 93%. Like, you can give him the ball, he'll look after it, and if you ain't got it, he'll go get it. It's fantastic. We've got one of the genuinely most aggressive counter-pressers in world football in him. And that Liverpool game, we saw the best of him. He turned up the heat from the first minute, and a Liverpool midfield, which has been getting praised all season for how good it is. McAllister, Gravenberch, Jones, they are a good midfield. They are top of the league. And they looked an absolute shade below Ugarte. He put himself around, and he was helped by Bruno and Mainu getting involved as well. But, he was the one that stood out in a big, big way against a very, very good midfield. I think they're undefeated in Europe. They're technically in every competition still. It was a hell of a performance. And like I sort of said, we knew we were getting this, but I think we're getting more. He might be better than we thought. On the ball, he's actually surprised me a little bit because everyone said his progression was rubbish, he was sideways. And the eye test often shows that he keeps it simple. But so did Roy Keane. He absolutely has it in him to play progressive passes. Now, he's no Scholes, he's no Pogba, but he doesn't need to be. He has an average pass completion of 89.6%, which puts him in the 88th percentile of all midfielders. And that's perfect because you want the player that's role is to sort of get the ball and then maintain it and just not give it away. Anything around the 90% mark is fantastic. And the start to life that he's had at United, there were people worried, mainly because the media made it that way, I think. But overall, I think he's been immense. And he's really rounding into some form at the moment. And even though, we haven't actually won a game since the City game, individually, he's still been playing well. It's not just the on the ball or even just off the ball. He's just the complete package. I hope he can keep this up. I hope he can prove he's been a better player than any of us could have possibly imagined. And I hope he keeps winding the rival fans up too, because I absolutely love that. And then finally, he's an Armouring player. I think Ugarte is flourishing because we brought in a coach who understands him. And we didn't obviously bring in a coach just to get the best out of Ugarte. That'd be ridiculous. He just happened to be here, I think, at the time that we appointed him. But I think one of the reasons that we're seeing him shift into a new gear is because he's got a coach who actually understands him. And if you actually stop and focus on Ugarte right now, you'll see his positioning is actually better than when he first joined. Against Liverpool, his positioning was on top form. Maybe that's because he understands his role within that system better than he was understanding the role within Ten Hag's system. That could be a factor. He was covering for teammates under Ten Hag and we were still getting done. Now he's covering, but he looks in control and the team looks in control. He also is getting on the ball and showing for the ball in great areas, as well as breaking up the play because of his understanding of where he's meant to be within that system. There will be room for improvement under Armouring for Ugarte. We need to see the rest of the team get on Ugarte's level first, though. And I'm sure once that happens, Ugarte's form will take on another level. And I can't wait to see it. I'm enjoying watching him play. Any player that digs in the way he's been digging in is always going to be popular with fans. But doing so, like I said, McTominay and Fred could dig in. He's doing so with a level of composure and quality on the ball that's making everyone around him better. He's progressing the ball real nice. He's opening up pockets. He's making us attack better, not just defend better. I'm in love with Ugarte at the moment, and I hope this continues because in what's been a dog shit season where we still languish in the bottom half, he is a bright spark. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.